We'll try as much as we can to be quick. Church is no church without you guys. Hallelujah. Are we good? What is it like to be a father? What is fatherhood? What is it? What does that look like? Especially when we are talking about a godly father.
So I want to start by saying thank you all for the lovely accolades you offered us as fathers. We're feeling very special here today. I'm nervous as well. But I think for me, father, the word father is in direct relation to children. And for me, I have biological children, I have spiritual children. And one of the main things I think as a father, as a godly father, is about being a positive role model to your children.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your prayers today. Also, I want to say, I think somewhere in the Bible it says a child is a fruit of the womb. It says the child is a fruit of the womb and a gift from God. If God has given families that fruit of the womb, which is a gift, that means there's an assignment. Assignment as a father to bring that child up the way to go, and godly ways too. So that assignment is what I think father wants. Thank
Go on.
In addition to what my fellow brothers have said, I think fatherhood is also means that you are the bishop of your house. The Bible has placed us as the head of the home spiritually, and in that regard, you are meant to be the bishop of your house. You're meant to lead your house spiritually. And when I mean spiritually, we all know that means following the word of the Lord. Just like Brother Janet said, you have to be the role model, not just physically, not just in what you do, but also in your spiritual connection with God. Because as we know, people tend to mimic what they see more than what they hear. So if you lead a life where you're spiritually disconnected, there's a chance that will follow through to the children. But if you live a life where you're connected spiritually, your children can see that and they will follow suit in that same path.
Thank you.
Sorry, Pastor. What is the question again? Can you repeat the question? Are you able to?
I'm just asking, what does it mean to be a father? What is fatherhood?
Right.
Very simple.
I think the reason why I asked that question, or that I should repeat it again, is in line with, I'm sure those of us who were in the meeting yesterday, Mighty Men of Valor meeting, this is really consistent. It's in line with what we discussed. A father, a godly father, is one that is called to lead. And in leading, we said, I'm just trying to represent Mighty Men of Valor in this case, you have to establish a vision and a direction for your home. That's what we discussed. We said you have to be a mentor, you guide and you teach your children. And you defend, be a warrior. And I think the last thing we talked about is that you have to be a friend. Your family, your children, they have to be your confidant. You have to rely on them. You have to listen to them and you have to love them. So, in summary, a father is there to do these 4 things we just listed and discussed yesterday. Providing vision, providing direction, be a mentor, be a friend, and be a warrior.
Thank you.
In addition to what my fellow fathers have said, I would say, you do all that through leading by example. Like that, I mean, yes, you will love the children, you will also have to discipline the children in godly way if they are not doing the right thing, so that they know that you are the father. And also, a mention is being made as a king, a priest, or whatever you say. Being a leader is not easy. We can see what's happening politically now as well with Sir Keir Starmer. So when you are a leader, people think they can do better than what you are able to do. But until they are in that position, they will see their life is different.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Just to contribute to what my fellow fathers have said, I think the best example here is actually from God Himself, because we as fathers, we look up to someone which is God to be our own father. So the examples we take from God, because when we have issues or we have problems, the first person that I, as a person that I run to, is always God. So He leads me the way I want to lead my children. And considering, because we have different homes, I'm just going to put it that way, because I have 4 boys, so it's not easy at all to raise all boys. You understand what I mean?
Boys, you said?
Yes. So it's not been easy. It's only the grace of God that has kept my home up till now. So what I ensure at all times is just to be my children's friends. Not just their father, but I'm very, very close to them. So I speak to them, talk to them, make sure they're very, very close to me in all ways. Not just, okay, I've got, we don't keep secrets. That is one thing about me, in my family. So just, anyway, what I have to say is just be as good as you can to your children and lead by example. That's just it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's lovely. It's amazing. I'm sure a lot of questions have come, even though we didn't plan for this. I know that there will be more questions. Before we start asking all those questions, I wanted to ask, is it possible for someone who doesn't have children of their own to be a father, to be a spiritual father? Is that a possibility?
Sure, yeah.
So how would they lead that as a father?
I think no different from what we just said, really.
Yeah.
Because I think you need to be a role model to all, really. So I think what we have said just now is exactly what we will do. And make ourselves available to those who are not your biological children. I would say make yourself available, make yourself approachable, and love them the way you would love your own children as well. Have their interests at heart, not just being a figurehead really, but having their genuine interests at heart.
If I have to, I want to add to that in the sense that the person you want to be their father spiritually, you also want to be submissive. You can't go in the street and see somebody who's wayward and say, I want to be your father. You know? So being that the person is under your care, when you speak to them, they go rationalize about what you've spoken to them about. So they will take it in, and when they have problems again, they come back to you to come. That's how I think spiritually you have to be submissive to.
Hey, just to quickly add to that, like my brother said earlier on, God is our ultimate father, and we take lead from Him. So you may not necessarily be a biological father, but whatever you learn from God is what you carry on to do. So even before you become a biological dad yourself, and that's the only way you can learn. You know, if you learn from the Word of God, if you learn from God Himself, okay, yeah. If you can follow the footsteps of the Father, so whatever you learn, you can pass on, whether to your spiritual child or to your biological child. So it's like Brother Dana said, it's the same way. There's no difference. However, the only manual we have is the Bible. So if you need to understand or know how to be a father, you have to learn from the Word of God, and that would be your dad.
What I've come to realize is that a lot of times when we are not yet fathers, we think about how well we will do this job. You know, we'll do it like this, we'll do it like that. But no human being that God has created, when they become your sons and daughters, they are not robots. So they are not created the way you envision them to be. They will be their own person, their own way. They will bring their own challenges, and they will listen to you the way they want to listen to you. And if they don't want to, they won't. For me, I was thinking of the fact that if you really want to be a role model, it's just to live and be who God has called you to be as a father. Just be a father, just loving, just as our brother has said, as you all have said, living a model of our Heavenly Father who gives us the model that we follow, and we just follow that. And your children will eventually follow. Some may not follow. It doesn't mean that because you are faithful and consistent with God, they will follow you. Some will still go their own way. But then we have the story of the prodigal son. And if the father never left his abode just because the son left, he remained there, I'm sure, prayerfully waiting for the child to return. And the heart of the father was, as soon as the son returned, he was ready to accept them. Not with judgment, but with humility and with love, and he welcomed this child back. No, just adding my own 10 pence. Thank you. So, yes, there might be questions that people would have asked. Please, go ahead.
Can I just say, I'm just saying, because I was thinking this morning, it's going to happen again from last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm
So, we'll do this in themes. The first one is readiness. I'll read out all the questions under that category together, but if I need to go again, I will, just because they're all quite similar.
Yeah.
So the first one is, do you think you were really ready to be a husband or father? What made you ready? What's your advice? The next one, still on that note, is how or when did you know you were ready to be a father? Was there anything that you were anxious about coming into see? Still on readiness, how to navigate first-time fatherhood and marriage. Again, no one can be fully prepared for fatherhood. How do you recommend the ways to not only be a good father, but equally a good husband to your partner? Raise my voice?
Yeah.
In the mic?
Yeah.
Sorry, all. So the readiness is joining fatherhood and husbandry, I guess. So no one can be fully prepared for fatherhood. How do you recommend the ways to not only be a good father, but equally a good husband to your partner? Again, what are the experiences, what are the different stages of fatherhood, and how do you navigate them? So all of that is around readiness. So how do you know that you're ready? How do you navigate it? What are the steps as a first-time father and husband?
Okay. I strongly believe before you can be ready to be a father, you have to be ready to be married first, which I believe. And it says in the Bible, I don't really know, the Bible verse says, thank you. The man has to be lonely or something like that, and find a partner, and the two shall become one. Then afterwards, that's when I believe, having children comes in. So being ready to be a father, it takes the grace of God. I'm just going to say that. And it takes the agreement of both parties, to raise children. And once that has been agreed, and once the kids starts coming in, then definitely there must be shift in responsibilities. Shifting in responsibilities by the way of taking care of the home, taking care of the wife, the children, providing for their needs, and at the same time driving them very, very close to God.
Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to what my fellow father has said, yes, for me, readiness was in two parts. I'm from Nigeria. Even growing up, my mom was always pushing us, get married, I want grandchildren, So, but in the end, you as a man, you have to decide how to plan your own future ahead of you. Yes, you need to get married before you become a father, and as a leader as well, you need to think far ahead in terms of what are you planning for the family, what are you able to provide, how can we live within the needs that we have, and all those things. So it's not easy. Those are the challenges that men face because you want to provide everything. Growing up, for me, I'm one of those that I didn't even know my dad. My dad died when I was a baby. So I know what I went through. So my own vision about my children is just that I want them to lead a better life than how I grew up. I need to provide for them. They don't need to go through the things I went through just to get education or get anything. So in a way, some people will see me that I spoil my children. It's not just that I spoil. It was because of the way growing up, when I can't even afford things that every other children could afford, and I have to depend and beg for it. So I don't want my children to go through that. So part of my determination there was then to say I need to focus on my education first. I need to make sure I acquire the right education, get a nice job, and then think of my family. So it goes like that. I don't want to take much of your time. Let me give it to you.
Thank you, Ismail. I hope you know. This subject, really, for those the young ones who are very close to me, I see this all the time. When we meet in my house, these are some of the subjects I discuss with them. Yeah, marriage is not just about feeling, it's not just about emotion, it's not just about love, okay? As my brother said, yes, in his scripture, a man shall leave his household, cleave to his wife, and both of them shall become one flesh. That is the foundation, that is the basic. But for you to be prepared for this institution, because it is an institution, if some of my younger ones here, when I meet my biological children and my actual spiritual children, I have always said to them that you have to be strong financially. You have to be strong emotionally. You have to be strong psychologically, and if possible, physically, to go into this. Because itself is a journey, it's a life journey. You're not going to say, okay, I love this person, I'm moved by emotion, then you go into it. Without first, you don't have ego, you don't have the money. You are not financially strong and you want to take somebody else's daughter in addition to yourself. As you see in where I come from, a chicken that is, I think Pastor Nodel's married. You can't be walking on one leg and then you want to add somebody else to yourself. Emotionally, you are not strong emotionally. You can't handle emotion yourself, but you want to bring somebody in, that you can't even provide emotion, you can't provide support. How is it possible? And then psychologically, you are not balanced, but you want to add somebody in. Physically, you are not strong enough to defend your house. You understand what I'm saying? So, what in effect, financially you have, I'm not saying you'll be a millionaire, that's not what I'm saying. You have to be strong financially, you have to be strong emotionally, physically, and psychologically. Then you are not prepared, in addition to what the Bible said we should do. You are now in a position to say, I think I'm balanced, I can bring in somebody else to come and to do this life journey with me.
I really shouldn't be here, I should be on the other side. Asking questions. But just before I answer that question, in terms of, because you asked the question earlier, Pastor, regarding do you need to have children to be a father? And I think you alluded to that, but I think it's in Genesis where God said to Joseph, that will make you a father unto Pharaoh. So you don't necessarily need to have biological children to be called a father. I believe a father is someone who exercises divine authority, whoever he's meant to cater for. And exercising divine authority means you're providing guidance and counsel and advice to allow whoever it is that you're giving that to live in excellence and to bear fruit, which is what Joseph did for Pharaoh for the rest of Egypt. In terms of readiness, to be a father, if I was to jump steps, is I've had conversations with my wife at Uriah, and when we were panicking or just expressing general, not necessarily fear, but in terms of the current state we're in, where we're expecting children. And the point I've always made is, once you've committed your ways unto the Lord and both of you agree that, okay, God is the one that's leading us and God is the one that's guiding us, then for me, biology kind of flies outside the window. because there are many people who are married and are trying to have kids, and it's just not happening well, and they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. So once you're committed to God, and even as real as it sounds, before you go into the activity of having children, having sex, actually praying about it when you think, you want children, such that when God then actually blesses your wife with the fruit of the womb, you know for sure it's not because of anything that you did. It's not necessarily just because you had sex or it was the right time. It was because God is just in His infinite mercy, He's decided to bless you with the fruit of the womb. And for us, that was the sign that, listen, we could have done this for as long as we wanted to, but at this time, God in His infinite mercy has decided to bless you with the fruit of the womb. So for sure, He's given us this gift. And then secondly, He says, these are the signs that shall follow. Meaning that when He blesses you with something, He's going to engrace you with the strength, with the wisdom, the resources, whatever it is that you need to take care of your children. Of course, as a man, you need to have the things in place, and job and businesses, and be smart with what you do, but you live first with God, and everything else will follow.
Can we change the mic for him?
I'm pretty much done. But I guess in terms of a husband, thank God there are many husbands in the house, and husbands to be. It's going to be a wonderful year of weddings and all of that. But I mean, for me, I guess as a guy, you find what you like, you find the woman that you love, and you pick, and you decide, this is the one that I want to build with, this is the one that I want to grow with. You bring, both of you present yourself to God, and for the whole wedding planning and all of that, God is going to work it out. He will make situations work out in your favor for the wedding and all of those things. But as guys, for anyone who's still looking or not found somebody yet, the truth is, as guys, we know we have options, right? So at some point, when it comes to picking stocks, decide on stock. That sounds crazy, but that's just the reality of the life that we live in. That as a man, you decide, this is the one that I want to pursue, this is the one that I want to do life with, and you close your eyes to the rest and just stick and grow. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much. That's amazing. That's also, it's interesting. It's always interesting. Okay, you wanted to say?
I just wanted to share my own personal experience really of my readiness. Because I think after getting married, I think in my mind the next thing is, of course you get to know your wife for some time. And for some people you might give yourself a few months or weeks, years, whatever you decide. But for me I thought, a short period to get to know my wife. And then have children. But one thing I want to say is that in my premarital counseling, raising godly children was a real subject there. And it's really important to learn about how do you prepare yourself to be a good father, to be good parents really, and that's really important in your premarital counseling. But I think in terms of financially and those things, I had just gotten a job when I got married. I waited, as soon as I got the job, I got married. So I didn't have any savings really. It wasn't financially stable in terms of having anything extra in case of anything. But I thought I'm going to do life with my wife. We're going to build together. As long as I have enough money for food, clothing and shelter. Apart from that, I wasn't really looking for anything more. And maybe it's not the best way to look at it, but that's how I looked at it. I had enough to live and I can raise one child. I thought, I have enough to feed another one. I wasn't going to explode the population of the world. We already spoke about that and say that we're going to have 2 children. But I also think a lot about those people who may not be employed and they still have a right to have children. Those who rely on state support or whatever, they have a right to have families. And those people still have raised good families as well. So I think it's having some provision, whether it's a state provision, whether it's your employment, whatever it is, just being ready in whatever way.
Thank you so much. I was going to say exactly that. That doesn't mean that all these, all these hopes, you have to go through financially, emotionally, and all of that stability. I'm thinking, what hope do some people have? Because they have a job that is not really able to take care of them as such. They will never marry, that is what it means, and all of that. But for me, I just believe that it's God that is leading us in everything that we do. If God is leading you, no matter what you have, God can use that little thing that you have, and he will use it to bring something new, even because he's the one leading you to marry, he's the one leading you to have children. He will also be making provision for you in a way that you don't even imagine. And for some people, they didn't plan for their children. Suddenly they are married, and now children came not because they were prepared. It just happened. So what do they do with such children? They still have to raise those children, and in so doing is seeking God's counsel, seeking God's advice, and asking God for help. And most cases you find that the blessing that comes along with certain things that you didn't plan for, you'll be amazed what God can do. That's the awesomeness of our God that we serve. So I just thought I would put that in. You keep saving until the cows come home. You save and save and save and say, now I have enough. And then the wife is not even there anymore. They've moved on because you were busy saving, waiting for them. And now they decided that they can't wait for you until you are now 40.
I'm sorry, Pastor. I didn't say you have to be a millionaire.
No, I wasn't talking.
I was just saying you have to at least source of income to feed the woman.
No, of course. I'm not talking to one person. I'm just adding that. Why do you feel guilty?
I have to say this, if I have to add to it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a millionaire to get married. But then again, the prospect will be bright.
Yeah.
Yes, if you have somebody who's gone to school and is looking for a job, yes, you know the prospect is okay. The prospect will be brighter when he gets a job. That's where you start. There's an old Chinese proverb that used to say, before a Chinese man gets married, then they'll say you must have a bicycle, a refrigerator, and a house where you stay. If you don't have this, you go meet the parent of the woman. They'll tell you, sorry, you're not ready. So for us, we need to be ready. Check that don't lead another man's daughter or another man's son that you can afford to.
Without the vision.
Yeah, without the vision. Yeah, that's the vision we're talking about. Don't go get somebody else's child and you say, yes, this is what I have. You go wear borrowed suits and you go rent a house that you can't afford. At the end of it all, both of you are struggling. You know, before you know it, there's a child. Instead of it being just you now, it becomes 3 people struggling. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Just in terms of readiness to be a father, I think it's just very, very important for we as men to have a conversation with our wives, with our women first, and make sure that they themselves are actually ready. The fact that I want a kid now, she might not necessarily be on that same path. And I believe we actually did have that same experience where I felt initially that I think I'm ready for this. But initially Mariah was like, let's probably slow it down a little bit. But then we prayed about it, and then eventually she came to the understanding, alright, cool, I'm ready for this. So I guess, as men, we have a conversation with the women. They need to give the green light. We can't just be fathers by ourselves. They need to be ready to go ahead.
So just a quick one. I think being readiness I don't think it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
It's always going to be. It's an area of life where you may not necessarily know how you're going to handle it when it happens. I know you like the idea of having a child or having children and everything, but believe me, it's a totally different ball game. It's one thing getting married, it's another thing having children and raising children. And like I said to someone quite recently, parenthood is for life. You don't do it half, get to a certain point. Just because they move out of your house or they're no longer under your roof, you think you finished being a parent. No, you'll be a parent for life. So it's a role you really have to prepare yourself for. And sometimes you delve into it without necessarily knowing whether you're going to be ready or not. But when you find yourself there, you would know that you have to step up. I think for me, when it first happened, I just stepped up. And I realized that, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And before I knew it, I was flowing in the all aura of it, and it was a beautiful situation, and it just got better from day one. But before then, I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. So sometimes you might be a bit tentative and thinking, Do I really want to do it now? Do I want to start now? Do I want to do it? But believe in me when you get there. But, like Brother Courage said, I think your pocket needs to be tidy. Yeah. Yeah, have something there. I'm not saying have loads, but just make sure you're comfortable. Have a steady sort of income to start with. And that will help you along the way.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, well done, guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the next theme is going into challenges you may face as a father. So, Raf, you mentioned having conversations with Mariah. So the question is, how do you lead as a father or husband when the wife is not in agreement? It's one of those questions. Uncle Courage, you mentioned having a good emotional foundation, not being a one-legged chicken. So how do you manage your emotions in tough times? For example, if you found out about infidelity in your relationship.
Yeah. That's another level.
And then the final one in this theme, what has been the most challenging parts of being a father, and what scriptures have you used to shape the way you raise your children? So leading when the wife is not in agreement, managing your emotions in tough times, in examples of infidelity, and then what has been the most challenging parts of being a father for you from the scriptures?
Maybe Ralph, you start with when not in agreement, especially when it comes to you just answer that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. I guess in our experience, I guess it's firstly understanding why the woman, your wife, might not be feeling ready. Is it something psychological that needs to be prayed around? Is it that she has particular goals that she's trying to achieve, and perhaps bringing children into the picture is going to slow that down? I don't know, is it trauma? Whatever it is, like I guess you need to understand why. If your woman is not ready, firstly, and then I guess the why then depends how you react, right? If it's for psychological reasons, there's something to pray about. If it's a goal, perhaps that needs to be achieved. Is there a way that you can assist in accelerating the accomplishment of that goal? But if it's just a general, I guess, just a fear of, the realities of bringing children, or the fear of actually going through pregnancy itself, like, as a woman, not as a woman, as a man, I've seen what it can do to a woman, and they take on extreme pressures and changes in their bodies. And I know it's Father's Day, and I'm not trying to be moist or whatever, but we can actually give our women a round of applause for what they're doing. If it's a huge toll on a woman's body, so a woman needs to be ready for that. Then whenever you do establish the why, the next thing is the action, but most importantly is actually prayer. You pray independently as a husband, she prays independently as a wife, and then you both come together as one and pray that at the right time, God should let you know when you should go forward. And in His miraculous way, He's going to work things out for you. That's what I want to say.
And not just agreement to have children, but in raising the children if your wife is not in agreement in aspects of raising your children as well.
That's not the ones who have.
Let me deal with that and
Yeah.
when my wife is in agreement to bring up children. I think, do you know what? It's not.
Is it bringing up the children or how to bring up the children?
In general, how do you lead as a father and husband when your wife is not in agreement?
How to lead the children when my wife is in agreement.
Your home.
Oh, okay. Wow. And because mine is, okay, let me be practical. Mine is completely different. I wasn't born in Europe. I'm not an Englishman. I'm a typical African boy. For my children, there was nothing like, oh, Pastor, let's sit down and see how do we deal with these children. Or I had to call her and say, I want to discipline Ralph. How do I do it? Or I'm seeking your consent to do that. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't, there was nothing like an agreement on how to. I'm sorry, I'm just practical.
Yeah.
So when I'm dealing with Ralph or Valerie, sometimes I was very harsh. She just leaves. She's not happy. I know she's not happy. She will just leave and go upstairs or just turn her face and leave. Was I doing it in a good way or in a bad way or whichever way? It will be up to God's judge. I was doing I was doing what I felt was right. And in retrospect, I would say whatever I did to my children really turns out to be. I absolutely have no regrets at all. I think otherwise they wouldn't be like this. I wasn't soft on them, I must say. Especially, I wasn't really soft on them, but that was how I thought to myself. And maybe there would have been a different approach to it, and they would still come out the same way they are in now. But I must say, I was harsh. That's number one. Then the second aspect I wanted to talk about, the challenges. For me, there was just one challenge I would say at the very, very beginning in my marriage, and that was finance. Other than that, I didn't face no challenges at all. Financial aspect, yes, it was a bit rough, which is why I said just now, coming out of that, in my experience, you have to have a bit of money before you go into it. At that time, I wasn't, not that I was poor, but I just, as my in-law said, I wanted a good life for my children. Because in Nigeria, I don't want to talk about my poverty because it was really bad. So, but I didn't want my children to go through that. So that was a bit of a challenge. And somebody said step up. Oh, somebody used one word just now. Brother, yes. Then I had to kind of, you know what? I needed to do something about here. I'm not happy about my financial situation. I'm not happy with where I am now. And then I just, do something. Step after step to where I am now today.
If my brother, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I just going to contribute just a little bit regarding this. Being in agreement with my wife in raising up my children, initially it wasn't easy because when we had our first child, growing up then, it was kind of easy initially, but as time goes on, agreeing together on some certain things was a bit, difficult for us. Because I might give an instruction to him before I come back. Or, the mom is always a soft spot for him. Mom said I should do this, but dad said I should do this. So I found out that most of the time, it's like arguing, and the arguments, often happen in front of my son. But as time goes on, when we had our second child, my first son is 7 years older than my second son. So when we had the second one, pattern was it was happening then. I now realized that, okay, instead of us going through this, cycle again, it is better if we want to have an argument. Is that I say to our children, please can you excuse us? You understand what I'm saying? Or I excuse the mom. We go to a separate place, we might shout on ourselves, whatever I want to say, but not in front of the children. So I believe that has really helped the family a lot. Then afterwards we had subsequent ones, and God has been so faithful in all ways afterwards. Then the financial aspect as well. I believe, pardon me, I don't really know the Bible verse again, please pardon me, but I believe in the Bible there's a passage that says, he who finds a good wife has found favor and obtained favor from God. I would say God has really blessed me in that aspect. Because being financially stable, things fluctuate at times, but I have a very, very solid backbone behind me, which has been my wife. So I'm very, very grateful. She has really made everything, raising up the children, she has really made everything so easy for me. It's not as if I had the overall, say then, but there are things that are, okay, before I can make decisions, we have to sit down together and agree together. Although it's not all the time that, that we sit together, that we, discuss on something, our opinions might be different, you understand, from each other because we're human, but at the same time, we still find a way, okay, to sit down, okay, let us do it this certain way, which is beneficial to every member of the family. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the little thing I think I add is just working in collaboration with your wife or the mother of the children, because agreement is one thing. Yes, you both might not agree, but if you discuss it, I've used the approach my brother mentioned, where you talk to your wife separately, and then before you go to the children and say, this is what has been agreed. If the children see that there is no division between mom and dad, they tend to follow it more. But definitely, even when we were growing up, we did the same thing. But in Africa then, though, even when you do anything wrong, when your mom says, if your father comes or when your uncle comes, they are going to report you, you will start behaving quickly and start begging, if I will do this, I will do that, because of the fear of the repercussion. But over here in Western world, it's not like that. But we also need to make sure that we have that respect for our father and follow the instruction, as long as the instruction is biblical. What I mean that if your father is telling you to do something contrary to what God, the ultimate father, is saying, then you don't need to obey. But if they are putting you in line to say, yeah, this is what we think, and it's for your own future. I wonder how my future would have been if I had not gone through the sort of discipline we went through with my in-law. Yes. Although we're different family, but it's the same approach, because in Nigeria then, we have a saying that one family cannot bring up a child. In other words, it's for everybody. If I see, even if it's not my in-law, I see his son or daughter doing something wrong, it's my responsibility as an adult to correct that person so that he or she will know what is right.
It should be to bring up a child, as Brown said yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Just quickly as well. It's always going to be differences of opinion when you're bringing up a child. I think it's just natural that the women tend to have the softer spot for the children, and the man, as it were, by nature is created to be the disciplinarian in the home, and sometimes you don't want to be the bad guy, as it were, because sometimes you have to play the good cop and the bad cop, but you don't necessarily want to be the bad guy at all times. And from statistics, it's turning out that at the end of the day, and I'm not being whatever here. The man ends up being the bad guy, being ostracized because of the discipline he sort of meted at during the children's development. And it's not because you want to be, but you just have that fear that if you don't do what you need to do at the time, the child may not turn out the right way. So you only do what you need to do at the time to help the child turn out the way that you want them to be. We all, as we said, grew up under that sort of setup, under that kind of model. And some of us, yeah, we learned from it, some didn't. Not everybody turned out right. But you still wanted to do what you can do to make sure you do the right thing. So that the child, at the end of the day, when they do grow up, you know, they'll be good, basically. So, yeah, sometimes there is conflict, like Brother Courage said, I think, with pastors, where, you know, when he's disciplined, pastor is not happy. But sometimes you need to do those things. You doing it, it's not like you're happy doing it, but it is something that you have to do. So don't shy away from it. And in very few homes, it's actually the other way around. It's the mom who is disciplined. There's very few cases where that happens, but it does happen. But as guys, you need to be prepared that you may have to be the bad guy most times. Yeah. And like my brother said earlier on as well, kids are beginning to know how to play dad and mom against each other. So, you know, they want something, and you as the man said, no, it's not happening. And then they go to mom, and mom say you can have it. Don't fight your wife in front of the child. Make sure you talk about it when they're not there. So like, listen, I already told this child this is not happening. So if you don't have one voice in the house, it gives room to the children to misbehave and do whatever they want, and they think they can get whatever they want. So be in one accord with your wife. That is very crucial. No matter how much you feel about each other, or you may have your own disagreements or other things, when it comes to bringing up the child, always remain in one accord, otherwise you're going to lose it.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, I think still have a question.
Yes.
I just wanted to add quickly, thank you. You guys are amazing. I knew I could trust you guys. I didn't need to go and do rehearsal or anything, and I know that you guys will answer the question correct. Yeah, so I want to say that raising children has never been a job that is easy for anyone. It's not about, I mean, you can be a disciplinarian as a dad, and you can at the same time still show love. I've experienced that. I know I didn't have a father, but I have an older brother who will discipline me properly, but at the same time will call me back and you know, and say, you know, it's because you did this, that's why I did that. Come on, you're still my precious, you know, one, and all of that. And that will wipe away everything else, you know, that I was feeling on the inside. So discipline, yes, but again, with love, is able to pull me back together. But again, I have another brother who believes in, it's just like that. But it never worked, because it makes you feel a bit rebellious in a way. I'm talking as a child now, you know. So that was how, the very thing you say I shouldn't do, I always love to do that. It's just the way that I was wired. Every time you say, don't do this, I want to do it, because I want to see the consequences of that. And I didn't care whether you beat me up or not. I was ready for anything, you know. So yeah, I'm just saying, there's nothing like love, you know. Discipline a child when you should, but at the same time, knowing the moment to pull them back and say, come on, you know, it's okay, you did this, it's because of this, I did that. Because they understand more than you think. They get it if you speak to them. I think with, like myself and my husband, my principle was always to talk to my children, but not to hit them, but to talk to them. And I think they get it, because they are not stupid. They can understand when I'm saying, you shouldn't have done that. Instead of us using all the beating in the world, it doesn't bring anything. I think that is a principle that you first must study your child, because every child is different. Some you need to beat up. You need to beat them. Yeah, some of them you need to, otherwise they won't understand. But some children are very quick to understand when you speak to them. So you speak to them. So your role as a father or mother is to also understand your child. Which one works best? If my mom were to talk to me, then I am crying. I'm just crying just for talking. She didn't beat me up, but I'm crying just for telling me off. And because I love to be told, well done. I didn't like to hear, you did this, you did that. So I tried to be as best as I could, so that I don't get all the kickbacks, you know. Yeah, so I thought I would just add that. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so this is more about asking for your counsel as father figures.
This is the last question. Yeah. We aim to finish 4:30, right? Is that okay?
Yep.
We have 9 minutes.
Okay, so very, very quickly, these are 3 questions on the same theme. How do you deal with unforgiveness and the hurts of having an absent father who only wants a relationship with you now when you are much older and you no longer care for that relationship but want to forgive them so you can make heaven? For a child that doesn't have the best relationship with their father and is becoming increasingly strained, what steps can be taken towards peace and reconciliation? And then, especially when the father doesn't make it easy. And then, how do I get over the feeling of being inadequate because I didn't grow up with a father?
Want to deal with that?
I think that's a hard one for every one of us. I don't know if anyone can really can relate or say anything on that topic. So I don't know.
If I just want to talk about being inadequate when you didn't have a father. I didn't grow up with a father. I think probably because I never felt what it was like to have a father. I always knew mom, and that's all I know. I think it all depends on how you grew up. I got words of affirmation from my mom saying that I'm enough, I'm sufficient, and I think the love I got from my mom was so much that I felt overconfident, in fact, that, because there's nothing, I didn't feel I lack anything. I think it boils down to how you grew up, and I pray that your mother is able to step up to make you feel loved and accepted, regardless of that vacuum that has been created by the father not being there. I also pray that you find God, because what I also did was I found Christ very early on, and because I found Christ, I see myself through Christ, and as a result, I'm always enough because Christ is enough, and because Christ was enough, it helped me to just live life that vacuum was there, but I never actually felt it because I always had Him by my side, that is Christ. So it was more than enough. And what my earthly father could not provide, Christ was enough to provide, because I found solace in His word. And every time I read His word and what He has said concerning me, it gave me assurance, it gave me sufficiency, and it made me feel that I was enough. So I think that's what I would say. Honestly, I never see myself in that, but I think you can also read the word of God to yourself to build that confidence in God that what He said, you have to begin to believe it and trust that. No earthly father, because you could have a father who is not even up to it, and they are not able to provide you with what you envision in your head that they will provide. So what will happen? Having a father is not just be it and end all, but at the same time, you can be who God has called you to be if you trust God and allow God to be God and your father.
If I have to add to that, I would say also, God being our Father, I think Psalm 68 verse 5 says, He's the Father to the fatherless. The more we tune to God, that's when He will, the anger we have regarding our Father not being there or feeling inadequate, that anger begins to dissipate. And being that it's dissipating, you get to love people more. There are other people, uncles in your life. If you go into a church, Bible-believing church like this, there are other men there that will, like this thing we're talking about now, even in our men's fellowship yesterday, it was the topic we were discussing. And we are talking about how men in the church, your relationship will help mold you too. Okay? The relationship with you like, I think some of our fathers here, they've said something just now that because of they didn't have a father in their life, the way they turned out, they could have, there's no way they will turn out again, because God has led them through this period. See God as the father in your life, if you don't have. If you don't have a father, other men are in your life. Come close to them. Just let them mentor you. Spiritually, you can come under somebody's covering, especially if the person is God-fearing. Come under them. They take you under their wings. And questions you need to ask. I know it's easy for me to say. If I didn't have a father, sometimes I wonder, what would my life have turned out to be? But those that don't have, I think there's an injury there, which it takes a while to heal. And for it to heal, you need to be close, develop relationship with others who are fathers too. You don't have to have one living in your house. That's all.
Thank you. Wait to ask the question. Yeah.
No, looking at just one sentence there. Take it as a challenge. That's what I would say, and try to prove that man wrong in your life.
Yeah.
I was going to say, off the back of what Uncle Andrew said, for the questions that maybe were read out and haven't been answered in full, the ones about reconciliation, as they said, they have an open door policy, so you've heard them speak. If you meet any of them individually, I'm sure they will be happy to dip down. And as we approach 4:30, I wanted to end with one that makes you all know that we do appreciate you. The first question was, dear fathers, please will you forgive us for taking you for granted? And the next one is, how did you deal with the weight of responsibility of being a father, and how do you deal with sometimes not being appreciated or acknowledged? And also, how did you feel supported when the attention is usually on the mother and child? But I'll still circle back to the first one, which is, forgive us for taking you for granted. We love you. We appreciate you. If you haven't heard that enough, I know you might have had to encourage yourselves in the Lord a lot. But today, we all as a church appreciate you so much.